Hello, welcome back to the Braxcast. This is, I believe, our fifth episode of this podcast, and this is one that cover all things Rippaverse. We go into all the Rippaverse news and goings on, and when I have slow weeks in terms of keeping up with the Rippaverse news, I would like to go into individual comic books deep dives on stuff like the Dokumon cards and all those sorts of things. Can't do that for at least this week's episode because we've had quite a few announcements coming out of the Rippaverse, and I want to dive into them, starting with the announcement of Bloodruth #1. And I've got the art printed out right here, but there's a couple things I want to mention in Item 2 with her first appearance before we dive into this art and really start examining it. First of all is this castle. This is Bloodruth's castle, of course. Item in his truck driving up to the castle. And this does seem to take place in a castle scene, so the speculation is this the castle that Bloodruth invades and makes her home, and that gets established in Bloodruth #1, and she's only recently started operating in the way that Gooding knows that she is. And the other thing I want to observe is these wolves here, because they appear in this panel. I just noticed looking over it. They do appear in this piece of artwork. So she's had this ability to control animals for a while. And here's the art. So we're going to get into that really soon. But the last thing is when they're on the dragon, Sam and Bloodruth ask, what about the dogs? They'll be able to hold their own. They'll follow us out. So a very well-trained beast of supernatural burden is what she has. And with that said, we're getting right into this art. So this book, if you didn't know, is Bloodruth #1, an ongoing series written by the Saska sisters, and the pencil and inking is being done by Michael Montanet. Hopefully I'm not butchering the last name. He won the Item 2 fan art contest with a piece he did on Norfolka, and the one of the rewards was ongoing work, and it turned out to be this book, Bloodruth #1, of which we've got a little reveal of one page of penciled and inked work. And I'm showing right here, you see she's got the wolves. The detail here is really immaculate when you see it physically printed out. But the way I'm filming it here, you might not be able to see it. But you've got the two wolves, which do appear in Item 2. Of course, you've got this castle vibe. You got the crow there, another supernatural beast of burden that does her bidding, as established in Item 2. But the biggest breakout star is this guy. We don't know his name. We don't know really anything about him, but of course he likes to dance with corpses in a castle. Could it be the castle that Bloodruth now calls her home? I guess we're going to have to pick up Bloodruth #1 to find out. We don't know when this book is releasing. They're going tentatively for a Halloween release date. That would be the logical thing to do. This is a horror book. Of course, everyone who's into horror loves the Halloween time, so this would be the perfect time to release this book. Of course, I will be getting this book and reading it because I'm the all things Rippaverse kind of guy. But horror isn't my biggest thing, but I do love the supernatural elements of Bloodruth's character. I love her blood powers. I love the fact that it's an art that has to be developed for her rather than her being this like super strong character. She has the ability to grow and develop over a canon of issues and alongside other characters in their books, which I am really excited to get into. So I do think that Bloodruth being an ongoing series is good, even though I said that I wanted it to be Yaira, Alpha Core, and Isom being the free ongoing series and not expanding any more than that. I think having Bloodruth there as the fourth one does work because she's got all these supernatural vibes. The fans love her ever since she was revealed in Item 2. So I do think with those sorts of things, it's a very logical thing to give her her own ongoing series. You can introduce a lot of things. The dimensions thing she mentions in Item #2 is also something that I would like to see explored, and it makes sense to have it done from the perspective of Bloodruth. But now we're going to go into the second art reveal, and that is the Horsemen had an art reveal. So, of course, the Horsemen is a one-shot graphic novel for now, being done by Joe Bennett and Chuck Dixon, the same team that brought us the lovely Alpha Core. That was a fantastic book. I've reviewed that on my Substack. If you want to go Velvet Room Publishing, read that review. I loved Alpha Core #1. I love Chuck Dixon and Joe Bennett working together and writing and penciling this book. And then, of course, the inkers and the colorists did a fantastic job as well. And, of course, they did a fantastic job with this art. And a lot of people online, or not a lot, some people online said this image was a bit too noisy with the snow, hard to see out the details. But having it printed out in front of me, this is a great piece of art. One of the things I mentioned in Alpha Core 1 was the fact that the 2-page spreads were all fantastic. And I also mentioned that in the going over Joe Bennett's art book as well. And the art book mentions that as well, that Joe Bennett is a master of these 2-page spreads. And this is another banger one right here. So I can't wait to see exactly what that entails in the Horsemen. But one of the things that people notice is that this design is different than this design. So, of course, it's going to be more of an origin story. This is like his early costume, and then he grows into having something like this, or even something like this. Of course, a lot of this can be explained. I guess the better thing is to have it like this. It's a bit hard to see. It's a bit wide. But, of course, all of these are different designs. These are very relatively similar, but they all have this rook from like chess piece. If it's a bit hard to see, but you got the rook there, you've got the rook right here, and then of course on this one you've got the rook very clearly visible. So that's always been a part of his design, and I think it's going to be even more so. But this seems like this is an early one. This is him first starting out, kicking a bunch of goons, and then he grows into being the real, true professional horseman. So the next thing I want to talk about is with the Rippazine and some other things, because there is going to be a future for the release schedule of the Rippaverse, and there's more content beyond Gyro 1 and even this year. And I want to get into what I think, if I was the boss, if I was the one in charge of making sure the Rippaverse's release schedule pleased the fans the most and also allowed them to get the most amount of content out in the first place, or as much as possible. I'm a bit snotty today. Blew my nose a lot, but can't seem to stop. So we're going to power on through and talk about the Rippazine. I think the Rippazine is a great thing. Of course, this first issue has a collector's edition, signed CGC copies, and that's all well and good for the collectors. I love doing that for this #1 inaugural issue, but do not do that for like every Rippazine going forward. I think this should be a quarterly, so 4 times a year. So you have like the summer, winter, spring editions of the Rippazine starting out, and then it could be like every other month, and then it could be monthly. But I think getting a seasonal release schedule, so 4 times a year, so you have like what's going to be going down in winter, spring, summer, then fall. And I think that would be a fantastic starting release schedule to have it. Do it physically, also do it digitally. And every maybe 10, do like the 10th to 50th issue, those should be special edition issues that have the CGC graded editions, that have maybe like the reveal of a new character or the announcement of a special book of like maybe like a Yaira annual or something like that, something like really special that the fans want and could be teased before. And I think that would be a great thing. And also just distributing it out as much as possible to the retailers, to people who could possibly be interested in the Rippazine in physical locations. You do drugstores and magazine stands with this, I think would be a fantastic thing. But doing this seasonally, having it be low cost, having it be a nice way to test run characters. I think a Dokumon story, like a 20-page Dokumon story written by the Saskos, would be right at home at the Rippazine, and people like that to do like a mini-series, right? So I think the step for a new character that they're not sure about wanting to fund would be Rippazine story, one-shot, or Rippazine story in a one-shot or a mini-series, and then if that one-shot and or mini-series does well, a full ongoing. I think that would be the great way to test out characters, be the most amount of low impact. You could have something that works really well as a short story, and then they do a free issue miniseries of it, and like 300 pages of comics, and the fans are like, well, that's more of the character than I really needed, and then they don't do any more. Of course, it could be like, hey, I love this character, I want 100 issues of this character, and then they act accordingly. And I think the Rippazine would be a great way to do it, but I think securing a seasonal release schedule as soon as possible would be the wisest thing for them to do. And then, of course, the more popular, the more the Rippaverse becomes even more of a thing. And then you can do that every month or monthly. But I think doing anything more than monthly would be a bit too much. It would be spamming the feed too much, so to speak. But the last thing I want to get into with this, and this is talking about more business things, is the campaign format. So every Rippaverse release, the first 4 books, Isom 1 and 2, Alpha Core, and now Yaira, which all made $1 million, over $1 million. Yaira number 1 is creeping up to 1.3, over 9,000 purchasers. I should have mentioned that in the beginning, but I'm mentioning that now. But what I really want to get into is that people do not want the campaign format to go away. So Eric has said that Yara number 1 was going to be their last campaign for a while. And the implication was that they were going to get rid of the campaign format so they could speed up the release schedule. And a lot of people love the campaign format, don't want to go away. I was going to print out this picture and put it, but I didn't, and I don't need it to illustrate my point, is that as Heels vs. Babyface did a poll on a live stream, and most people wanted the campaign formats to say, was like, do you think, should the Rippaverse keep doing campaigns? Overwhelmingly, yes. And I do agree with that, but campaigns should definitely not be in every book. So Horsemen, Gooding, they don't need to be campaigns. Isom number 3 and Bloodruth, those do need to be campaigns. So Bloodruth number 1, that needs to be a campaign. Isom number 3, finishing up the ill-advised arc. Those are 2 important books for the Rippaverse, and they should be campaigns, right? Campaigns give the sense of community, give people numbers to watch go up, and of course, it's just an event for the fans to gather around and create hype and just enjoy the Rippaverse. The second thing is in terms of the aspect of liking to watch the numbers go up. I do think there should be a sales tab, and every month the Rippaverse should post how many books that they've sold. And going forward, and hell, if they could go back and give the numbers for Alpha Core, Isom, and Yaira, that would be a fantastic thing to do as well. I think one that does well for the transparency. It creates a sense of community, and it also allows people to see the numbers go up in the sales and feel like they're contributing to the success of the Rippaverse. I think that's a fantastic way to go about it. And of course, with campaigns, you can shorten the release window. So Bloodruth 1 and Isom 3, those can be 30-day campaigns. And all campaigns going forward can be 30-day campaigns. It could be 2-week campaigns. So you could do like 2 campaigns, month to month, January, February. Just giving an example. The first 2 months that pop out into my head, and you could have those 30-day campaigns just basically coincide with each other. And do things short. You don't need to have campaigns that have like all these merch options attached to them. It could just be the books and nothing more. So the Bloodruth campaign could just be 4 covers, and I want it all, and all the Bloodruth merch that already exists beforehand. And I think that would be good enough for the fans. And of course, you could do maybe 1 or 2 extra things, but you don't need to do something all out like an Isom 1 or a Yaira 1 where you have all this stuff attached to it, and it takes a while to get it all together. It's the less complicated it can be, but you still have that format where fans can buy in and create hype and have it be an event. I think you can maintain that and not have too much merch and excess stuff to for people to buy and have to do the logistics and organizing it and scheduling it for release and fulfillment. So I think that's what to do. So the campaign format should stay. It should only be for special books, and it should definitely have shorter windows, and also do a sales tab where you release the sales numbers on a month-to-month basis for the books. So that way, the books that don't have campaign formats attached to them, the numbers are still known, and people can feel like they're contributing to a number that's going up, even when a campaign window isn't running. And I think that'll enhance the sense of community as well. I think with that, I'm going to sign off here. Hopefully my snotty nose and rambling did not get too much in the way of enjoying the Braxcast. Again, we had a fantastic slew of announcements in Horsemen and Bloodruth. So I am really excited to dive into both of those books and Gooding, and of course Yaira, which is the next release that's on the way. Link so will be in the description to check out Rippaverse.com, where you can buy the comics, and Rippaverse Wiki where you can read all up about these characters and contribute information to these characters if you're as into the Rippaverse as I am. Signing off now.
Thank you for tuning in to the Braxcast. Be sure to like, comment, follow, and subscribe to keep up with the Rippaverse.